Well, hello and welcome to Understand Men Now. I'm Jonathan Asley of jonathanashley.com, and I'm so excited to be doing this live stream for you today. Our topic, the 5 surprising things high quality men find beautiful in a woman. We're going to talk about those 5 things. All right, really quickly, but if you're new to my YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you can be notified of new content. I shoot about 3 or 4 videos per week, including live streams and shorts and all that kind of stuff. So lots of content. Also, if any time during this broadcast or while watching the replay, you hear something that resonates with you, please hit that like button for me. I'd really appreciate it. That way more people get to see this in their algorithm. All right. We're just going to jump into those 5 surprising things high quality men find beautiful in a woman. Really quickly though, before I forgot, is that if you're watching the replay, I'm going to do the content first, and then I'm going to do the Q&A. So if you want, just listen to the content. You don't have to sit through the whole half hour of this broadcast because I will be doing Q&A right after the content. So let's just jump right into the content right now. Now, one of the things I do want to identify is what I'm about to say resonates for both men and women alike. Let me repeat that. It resonates for men and women alike. So what I'm about to say is what men find attractive in a woman or beautiful in a woman. A woman will most likely find the exact same things attractive to men. And why is this? Because I added the term high quality man in this conversation and not just any man. So a lot of what I'm about to share actually resonates with those people that have stepped into another layer of, I'll call it emotional maturity. And that's what I think a high quality person is a person who's emotionally mature. So what emotionally mature person finds attractive is oftentimes their mirror. Versus the opposite, which happens, is people who are not emotionally mature oftentimes attract the wrong person in their life to help enhance or build up their emotional maturity. But that's for another conversation, which we'll talk about once we get to the live stream Q&A section. Okay, so let's talk about that first thing men find beautiful in a woman, high quality. And I'm going to put on my trusty glasses. Actually, I better clean them real quick because I do have my notes. All right, number 1. Now, I wrote down men find it. And now, when I said the word surprising, this isn't very surprising, but why this is so surprising is because what I'm about to share feels rare these days. And the number 1 thing, in fact, most men would agree, most high quality guys and most high quality women would agree that the one attribute that they find beautiful in a person is friendliness. And when someone is friendly, they're easy to be around. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, I'm a friendly person. So I'm a man out in the dating realm. And can I tell you that one of the first things I notice in a person, say their dating profile, is what energy are they projecting out in the images when they post their pictures on this little device. And I can tell you a lot of people don't smile. They don't show their energy. They don't show their enthusiasm. They're actually either sourpuss faces, they've got sunglasses on, or there's or they've got the stupid Snapchat filters on. I mean, all that kind of stuff, and it hides what's inherently inside someone is their friendliness. And one of the reasons why I think this is the case is because what's happened is for a lot of men and women alike, is that they've had so many poor experiences out in the dating realm that they've actually become either bitter, jaded, resentful, or angry at the process. Let me repeat that. They've become bitter, jaded, or even angry at the process of meeting a new person. So I've noticed that a lot of women, I've experienced this myself, time and time again. You go on a first date with someone and they're not very friendly. There's this kind of air of attitude, this air of not just arrogant attitude, but you can just say an angry attitude. So my invitation for everyone, first and foremost, is everything I'm about to share is usually because of a wound. It's interesting. The wound is causing the opposite of what's not happening. Let me repeat that. A wound is causing the opposite of what is not happening. What I mean is these 5 things I'm about to share. So when someone isn't very overly friendly, most likely there's a wound that caused them. That's a pain. And I see this time and time again in so many of the posts. When you write comments on the page, I can feel your pain, and that pain is bleeding over, and it's causing you not to be seen as a friendly person. So my invitation is to do the inner work so you can find your inner joy, your inner peace, your inner strength, your inner love. It's one of the reasons why I wrote my book. What the heck is self-love anyway? If you're new to my channel, here's my book. There's a link below in the description of Jonathan Recommends Books along with my book. This book is a journey of personal development, self-help, and spiritual work. So you can find that inner joy, find that inner peace, so you can show up smiling on a date. Because when someone is showing up smiling and happy, it's infectious. People want to be around happy people. So number 1 is friendly. Number 2, I wrote this down as consistency. And this really piggybacks on actions matching words and being consistent. One of the challenges with most humans is that they're suffering on the inside in some way, shape, or form, which causes them to be inconsistent in their life. They're suffering from, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, I'm not likable. And because of this, they haven't really adopted what I love is described in the book, the 4 agreements, the 4 agreements. Now, remember I said earlier in this video is that emotional maturity is one of the biggest challenges in dating today. Well, part of that is because people aren't following what's in this book called the 4 agreements. And one of the agreements is to be impeccable with your word, to be consistent. And what a lot of men are experiencing, and women are experiencing the same thing from men as well, is that they're not consistent with their words, especially when it comes to saying, hey, I'll be ready in 5 minutes, and then it takes you an hour to get ready. That's something that drives a high quality man nuts. It drives a high quality woman nuts when a person isn't consistent with their words. And most likely that consistency is because there's still a wound that hasn't been healed. Look, and I'm not absolving anyone of bad behavior. What I'm here to suggest is what high quality people find attractive, men and women alike, is when a human being is consistent. Their words, they're impeccable with their words. And I'm going to tell you, I find that incredibly beautiful and attractive in a woman. And my hope is that you're that kind of woman as well. Number 3, let's see, what did we write down? Oh, I wrote down grown up. Now, what I mean by grown up, and this is a critical area of being grown up, particularly in the area of conflict resolutions. Every relationships are going to have conflict. The problem with emotionally immature people is they operate from a place of I'm right and you're wrong. Let me repeat that. I'm right and you're wrong. And what's very attractive to a high quality person, man or woman alike, is a person who can be a grown-up, a person that will listen to your point of view, accept your point of view as being true for you, and then you doing the same for them. And when you can operate from that place of emotional maturity, that is highly seductive and attractive. Because what happens in a lot of relationships is friction. I'm right. No, I'm right. No, I'm right. I'm right. A grown-up isn't about being right. A grown-up says, how can we find resolutions to our relationships? Because when you can find a resolution, you actually find the beauty in the other person at the same time, because it's highly attractive when 2 people can come together in agreement versus continual friction. And this again goes back to a level of emotional maturity. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating with you? Please let me know. By the way, thank you all. Joy, I appreciate that you love my book. Lynn, I appreciate that. Thanks so much. Okay, number 4. And I wrote down this as being healthy lifestyle. This includes eating healthy, exercising, and dressing sexy. Okay, I'm putting this all into that box of just this relates to the body. Oftentimes we hear of mind, body, spirit, and emotion, right? Well, this relates to the body. What's really beautiful to a man or woman alike is when you see someone who you witness they eat healthy. And I'm not saying, we can't have a pizza now again, but people who actually covet their healthy lifestyle is important to them, including exercise. That is incredibly attractive and beautiful to a person. And when someone says, I don't have time to eat healthy, or I don't have time to exercise, that's a crock of shit. Everybody, we can all find 20 minutes a day for exercise, and certainly we have control of what we put in our mouths. And people who actually invest in a healthy lifestyle live longer. They have better moods and whatnot. In addition to a high quality person who values a healthy lifestyle, he or she is seeking their mirror. They're seeking their watermark. And that's really what I'm talking about. If everything you can switch it man or woman alike, because what I'm sharing that men find beautiful, women find attractive as well. And last but not least, now this one's a tough one. I wrote down brings joy to his life, brings joy to his life. And what I really meant by that is that the person doesn't bring emotional pressure to the life, emotional pressure. Oftentimes, men will say in their dating profiles, no drama, no drama. Now, what drama is, and this is just an analogy, don't hold me to this, but let's just say for argument's sake, a woman's expectations of emotions are here, and a man's capacity for giving emotions is here. And that space in between, that's called drama, because you're wanting him to be up to your level. What a man appreciates is a woman who brings joy in his life and doesn't put emotional pressure. That's what a man finds beautiful, attractive, and desirable, when there isn't emotional responsibility. And what I'm really talking about emotional responsibility is what I'm talking about is validation for you to feel good about yourself, or for that person. So what I'm really talking about is needy behavior. A lot of times people show up in relationship because we're suckling on the nipple of neediness here in the United States. And it's basically is, I need you to love me so I can feel good about myself. And because so many people are drinking at this trough, it's taking away all the joy and fun in being in a relationship, because it's requiring constantly to validate the other person. Validate them. Oh my God, why don't you text me when I get home? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? I'm like, I'm showing up. But when you are requiring me to fill the gap because it's coming from a lack inside of you, work on your own stuff, because that doesn't bring us joy in relationship. And ladies, if a man was doing the same thing, you wouldn't find it attractive. So what do we find beautiful and attractive? People who bring us joy. In fact, ultimately, men commit when they feel good, when they feel good in the relationship. When a man doesn't feel good in a relationship, now he might be getting the basic needs met of connection and sex and some companionship, and sometimes men, that's all that they want, or that's sometimes what some women, that's all they want. But ultimately, they won't go to that next layer, that next up the rung of the ladder of commitment, unless they feel good being with you. Because when someone feels good being with you, they want to spend more and more time with you. And what I just about to share, what was beautiful, the inverse is what kills attraction. And that's what I was leaning in today. Did this resonate with you? I hope so. I'm going to repeat it real quick, and then we're going to take questions. By the way, if you have a question, write the word question. Write the word question, and then a colon, and then write your question out, or buy a super sticker or a super chat. There's a little $sign, and that way I can see it pop up on my screen. All right, really quickly, the 5 surprising things high quality men find beautiful in a woman: friendly, consistent, grown up, healthy lifestyle, and brings joy to his life. This is true for men and women alike. All right, it's time to jump in and answer questions right now. So just give me a second to check out what we've got on the board. All right, looks like we've got one right here. SB9017 writes, should you date someone you work with? Should you date someone? So whenever I see the word should, that makes it feel like an absolute. Can you date someone you work with? The answer is yes. You can date someone you work with. Now, I'm going to assume that there's some protocols at each company. There might be some protocols about fraternizing with people that work and all that. I use the word fraternize. I don't know why, but that was old school. I'm a boomer, so. But there's sexual harassment laws and things. So can you? You can, but I would first want to know, what's the company policy about dating people within a company, number one. And number two, you ask yourself, if the relationship doesn't work out, is it going to be uncomfortable? There's an old adage, I didn't make this up, but you don't shit where you eat. And that basically means is you don't date where you work. But now here's the thing though. It used to be back in the 60s, the workplace was the number one place to meet your spouse. Believe it or not, back in the 60s, that happened to be one of the number one places to meet your spouse. That shifted in the 70s, certainly in the 80s, and then with the internet, now the internet happens to be the predominant place people are meeting for the first time. But I can say you can date someone you work with, but should you? I would be very cautious. That's my suggestion for you. All right, I hope that answers your question. Let me scroll up the board here. I want to thank everybody who's on. Joy, Adrian, Taylor, Cheryl, Morgan, Rebecca, thank you so much. All right, let's take our next question. Joanne, I need your help. My long distance broke up with me and I haven't talked to him in 2 days, yet he's still reaching out. I don't know what to do. So I don't understand. He broke up with you. He still reaches out, but you don't know what to do. So he's obviously ended the relationship. I guess the question is, what do you want to do? If you want to get back together, have you tried to reconcile? And if you've tried to reconcile and it didn't work, I have a belief that if someone doesn't want to be with me, I'm okay. I wish them well. I wish them well on their journey, but then I focus on myself. That's what self-love does. Self-love does that. It's not about lamenting over another person. So if you've tried to reconcile and it didn't work and he's not interested, then I would simply request, please don't communicate with me for a while I move on in my life. Now, I'm sure there's a lot more to the story, KK. How long were you dating together? You said, it's a long distance broke up. So, okay, so here's my questions with long distance. How long have you been dating? How many times a month do you see each other? How often have you had sex? Did you talk about plans to shifting from living separately to apart? I mean, how deep did this relationship go? I mean, for all I know, you dated for 3 days and now and I'm making up that number, but in other words, please give me more information because that's hard to reconcile. But what I would do is what I suggested. Okay. Okay. Joy writes, as we age, we need to make adjustments in our lifestyle and recognize our limitations and make adjustments in order to be happy, healthy for ourselves and our lives. Yes, I fully agree. Okay. Rebecca, do the work, y'all. Exactly, do the work. This is why, by the way, for those who watch my YouTube channel, I recommend a tremendous amount of books. I recommend a lot of books. Why? And by the way, I got to tell you, I'm disappointed with some of you. I can't believe some of you say, Jonathan, you're making me read all these books. That's way too much work. And I just got to say, you got to be fucking kidding me. You're not willing to invest 30 minutes a day in your own well-being to make you a better person to be in relationship, and that's too much work is 30 minutes a day? Well, then give me 15 minutes a day. Let me reframe that. Give yourself 15 minutes a day. But if you're not willing to invest 15 to 20 minutes in your own personal development, self-help, and spiritual work that will eventually help in your relationships because of all the material I'm helping you with, then you have no business dating. I'm sorry, I'm going to be fucking blunt. If you're complaining about doing a little bit of work to making you a better human being, and that's too much for you, then I am not the channel to be watching. Go watch some of those stupid, channels that's teaching this bullshit. Here, this is the book, The Rules. This is bullshit. Let me give you an example of how much bullshit this is. But listen, if you want to follow bullshit reverse psychology advice that will temporarily make someone be like you for a moment and then never see you again, then follow that advice. If you want to follow the leaning back of feminine energy, just lean in your feminine, and the guys will just naturally gravitate towards your pussy because that's what that infers. That's a crock of shit too, because relationships take a level of work. And what does that work? It's emotional maturity. That's the work. It's reading these books. It's reading the book like The Hoffman Process or 8 Dates by Dr. John and Julie Gottman, or How to Be a Fucking Adult in Relationships. I'm sorry, I'm yelling, but that's it. It like drives me nuts when I hear people say, I can't invest that time. But I want to go back to this book, The Rules. Here's a chapter. It says, don't meet him halfway. Don't meet him halfway. That's a chapter. And I want to read you what it says. This is a rule. Rule number 4 is that men are supposed to rearrange their schedules around you, pursue you, take cabs and trains to see you. Okay, so what this book is setting you all up, a lot of you ladies, is that you're better than men. And the minute you subscribe to you're better than another human being, you're already set for failure. This is why I don't like this book. It makes men out almost as we have to do more work in a relationship for it to work. That's a crock of shit. A healthy relationship is like a 2-lane street. Both people are investing mutually into the health of the relationship. It is not supposed to be the man doing more work. And I'll tell you, any woman who wants to do me, yeah, do me, as well as date me, she's going to have to, hey, say, Jonathan, I'd like to take you out tonight. Hey, Jonathan, I've got tickets to the movies. Let's go do this. I want a real partner in my life. And my invitation for every one of you is to lean into treating the dating process like a partnership and not an expectation-based way of dating. The problem with most dating advice, it's all centered around creating expectation that men are supposed to do this. And you're setting yourself up for failure because men will never meet your expectations. Is this sinking in? Please tell me. All right. Anyways, I can't stand the book, The Rules, or any teachings along those lines. All right, let's answer more questions. If you have a question, write the word question so I know it's a question. So KK writes, once I figure out something, he moves. Okay, once I figured something out, he moves or is thinking about it. He got rejected by me sexually and wanted to break up with me. Yet he said he's loved me and said he's loved me for the right sentence. I'm a little bit confused. I am so sorry, KK. I really don't understand. He's moved. So am I, you know what? I can't process that one. I am so sorry, KK. I can't figure out your question. All right. Jennifer says, the rules book sucks. I know women who follow the rules are in a divorce now. The truth hurts. Exactly. Lynn Gustav says, leaning back. Joy says, I 100% agree. All right. Kara K writes, my boyfriend of 4 months and I have been reading the books you recommend together. Our relationship is juicy, delicious. Thanks in part to you. Thank you so much, KK. Juicy, delicious, and healthy, I hope. But everyone, I want everyone to read what she just said. My boyfriend of 4 months have been reading the books you recommend together. For those of you that have told me that the man you're dating would not read a book if you recommend it to him, then my suggestion, ladies, the penis doesn't get to go inside the vagina unless you both are going to co-create a relationship. Now, here is the biggest problem with dating today. Most people are dating from a perspective of just getting some basic needs met. And what's missing oftentimes is a real level of of commitment, That's what thank you, Carrie, by the way. Real level of commitment. I think the problem with commitment today is that people at midlife don't know what commitment looks like. It's very easy in our 20s and 30s when it's about making babies and raising a family. But the problem in midlife is ultimately, I want you to think about this. Men traditionally do the asking of marrying, right? And one of the reasons why men do the asking is because they're basically saying, I will take care of you. I will, through thick or through thin, I will financially take care of you. This is a real big challenge for the vast majority of singles who are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s for a couple different reasons. One, the 75% of the population in their 40s, 50s, and 60s who are actively dating right now are divorced. And what divorce means is alimony, child support, visitation rights, family court, just to name a few things. That's just one. Number two is that roughly 80% of Americans make less than $100,000 a year. So it actually takes two incomes to make a real household work. And so a lot of men don't feel like they have the resources to take you on. This is one of the reasons why over 50% of men are less likely to commit at midlife, because they don't have the resources to take care of you. And we have this built-in expectation that that's what you expect from us. We have this innate expectation that you expect it from us. So how can you turn this narrative around? By saying you don't expect it from us. This will take the pressure off of a lot of men who would be likely to commit, but they feel like there might be a financial pressure involved. And that's just one example. I'm not even going down the road of emotional pressure. But ultimately, commitment basically says is, I will take care of you. And a lot of men don't go the distance for this one reason alone. That's why I'm just bringing it to your attention. Is any of this making sense? Is it resonating with you? Please post a comment or write a question. All right. Let's go through here. Denisa says, read books. That's when you grow. Exactly. Don't invest your time. Stay stuck. I love this, Joy. Exactly. Don't invest some time in yourself. Stay stuck. If that's working for you, more power to you. Amy says, I just got your self-love book. I love it. And I love that you've got me reading it again. I'm so happy. All right. Does anyone have a question? All right. Sorry, this thing sometimes screws up. All right. I think I've got a question here. Kathy says, I love your passion and bluntness. Thank you. SVG writes, how do you be a grown-up and respect each other's point of view when you're always being gaslighted? I always need to call out the gaslighting, and then I become difficult in his eyes. Okay. Love this question. So, a person who gaslights is a person who is not emotionally mature. That is the easiest way. One of the fastest ways to determine emotional maturity is a person who always has to be right. And by the way, gaslighting is always turning a problem around and making it the other person's fault. That's what gaslighting is. Now, it's natural for humans to get defensive. So I want to differentiate. Is he just getting defensive, or does he actually turn it around and make it your fault? Okay. Because it's very common for human beings to get defensive. This is one of the reasons why I highly recommend reading the book, The Hoffman Process to Heal Childhood Wounds and Traumas that cause defensive behavior. But if we want to take it a step further, if they're turning around and making it your fault, then I'm just going to here to say, either accept them the way it is and be miserable or unhappy, or move on. There is no way to change a person unless he does a deep dive into childhood wounds and traumas and adult traumas and works on his own shit on his time. It's not your responsibility to make him be a grown-up. It's your responsibility to choose people who are grown up from the get-go. And this is one of the reasons why, if you hired me as a coach, my whole coaching practice is one, teaching you how to vet for emotional maturity. That's my area of expertise. Check out the link below to a free discovery call. Everyone, in the description, there's a free discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. All right. Thank you, by the way. KK writes, how do you get a guy's respect with not being called a bish? It really bugs me. I don't know what that means. How do you get a guy's respect with not being called a bish? It really bugs me. Sorry, KK, I don't know what that means. I hope you weren't meaning bitch, but I don't even know how that even would apply here. Okay, Monica writes, what do you think about LAT, living together apart? Hot bump, bump, bump. Monica, guess what book I have right here? Living Together Apart. Okay, everybody, let's talk about this. This is a really juicy conversation right now. Living together apart. So, traditionally throughout history, we go back to, after caveman days where we used to marry someone, and for either it would be arranged marriages or you got pregnant, you get married. And then as we evolved into the 20th century, we could basically live together without marriage. And now there's a new phenomenon called living together apart. And what that means is couples that are fully committed together in relationship, but they live in separate homes. And what they're finding now is these can be actually one of the healthiest forms of relationships when couples do it consciously, when they do it intentionally. And there's a book written called Living Together Apart. It's a tiny, by the way, this is only, it's not even 100. Look at it. It's 100 pages, and it's not even, it's double space and everything. So yes, I'm a big proponent of it when there's intentionality behind it and a real game plan when you decide if you are eventually going to move in together or just keep your assets separate. And a lot of people are doing this. And what's so great about this too is men will be more likely to commit knowing that you are taking care of the financial responsibility in your household and he's taking care of the financial responsibility in his household. And that way it doesn't put pressure on him to have to be responsible for your financial well-being. So I do love that book and I love that idea. So thank you for bringing it up. All right. Let's see. What do you think about post-traumatic stress? How to deal with couples who have PTSD? Well, a person who has PTSD or a couple who has PTSD, okay, post-traumatic stress syndrome. So so the question really becomes is, will the stress cause tension in the relationship? And if it does, then I'm a big proponent of doing as much healing work on the PTSD so it doesn't bleed into the relationship. And since there's a variety of different types of PTSD, and I'm not a professional on that, and I'm spitting, I highly recommend seeking therapists for assistance in that. Certainly for the person who, if both people have PTSD, I highly recommend 2 separate therapists working on their stuff, my suggestion, and then maybe a mutual therapist to help with the communication, because oftentimes there can be friction in communication when there's PTSD. So I hope that helps, KK. Bish is the B word. Oh, okay. So now I can't remember what the question was. All right. So how do you get guys respect with not calling a bitch? It really bugs me. First off, I don't believe you ever get someone's respect. I believe you show up authentic, vulnerable, and transparent. If a person can't appreciate and respect you for who you are, then chances are they've got issues going on in their life. And it's not your job to make someone respect you. My suggestion is you show up authentic, vulnerable, transparent. Show up friendly, kind, show up friendly, consistent, as a grown-up, healthy lifestyle. Those are the important things to bring to the relationship. If someone calls you names, then they've got issues. And do you really want to be with a person who's got issues? I mean, we all have issues, but you want to be with someone who's degrading? By the way, Dr. John and Julie Gottman talk about here in the book, 8 Dates, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse: criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. Those are killers to a relationship. Let me repeat that. Criticism, contempt, stonewalling, and defensiveness. Those are the four horsemen to the apocalypse of a relationship. So if someone has contempt for you and criticism, tell them to fucking go pound sand. Get rid of that motherfucker as fast as you possibly can. That's at least my suggestion. Anyway, okay. Gustavo means God and staff, and I live in a city called Las Cruces by a cemetery. Okay, thanks. So thanks, Gus. All right. KK writes, how long should you not talk to a long distance relationship partner about getting back together? How long not to talk? Again, you're going to have to be a little more precise with your words. How long should you not talk to a long distance relationship partner to get back together? So I think what you're probably, I'm going to assume here that many of you are listening to the bullshit advice called feminine leaning back, and you just lean back in your feminine energy. Just keep leaning back because the guy will naturally grab your pussy. What a fucking crock of shit. Okay, ladies, if a guy pulls away, what you get anxious, right? So if you pull away, you just want him to get anxious and come get you. Listen, if someone pulls away from a relationship, either you're going to talk about the relationship and co-create something together, or move fucking on. Stop holding out for people that are not interested in being a relationship with you. What? By the way, the woman who said, the boyfriend I'm dating for 4 months is reading these books. Ladies, I have so many clients. In fact, I have a coaching client who I'm getting on the phone with her boyfriend on Thursday. She wants me to talk to him so I can talk to him about this stuff and he wants a serious relationship. She wants a serious relationship. I'm getting together as the mediator to help kind of figure out what their challenges are. This isn't my area of expertise per se, but actually I've gotten over 20,000 hours of coaching right now under my belt. I have over 3,000 hours of personal development work, including workshops and trainings and seminars and books. I literally almost have my master's, if not my PhD. I currently have a neuro-linguistic programming certificate, and I'm in the process of getting my cognitive behavioral therapy certificate. Why am I sharing this with you? Because I'm talking about the real shit and not the bullshit stuff you read in this book. And I'm not a big fan of I'm a fan of empowered energy, male, female. Be empowered, be in your sovereignty, be in your self-love. I'm all a big proponent of that. What I'm not a big proponent of believing that if you lean back, it's somehow going to magically make a guy come back to you. And it might temporarily do that for a second, but it's not long term. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating? Please let me know. All right. Colleen writes, wait, I just want to say something. Grace, thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right. Colleen writes, my guy is unpredictable, making me more reactive, pathetic, responsive to his intention or initiation than I ordinarily would be. How do I get him to be more predictable and it's getting ridiculous? So let me read this again. My guy is unpredictable, making me more reactive, pathetic, responsive. So, Colleen, chapter 1 of my book is called Speak Your Truth, Do It With Kindness. That's chapter 1 of my book. Now, I'm going to find chapter 9 in my book. If it's sincere and from the heart, you can't say the wrong thing. So, Colleen, you sit down with your partner. You express what's going on you express your feelings. Now, if you have a hard time expressing your feelings, I highly recommend buying this book, Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg, or go on YouTube and watch a couple videos, okay? Now, it's called nonviolent communication. It should have been called compassionate communication. What you want to do is have a sit down with him and talk to him about how you're feeling. Now, one of two things are going to happen. He's going to say, honey, you matter to me. I want to make you happy. Let's work on this together. Or he'll get defensive, criticize you, judge you, gaslight you, throw you under the bus, which it seems like he's doing it anyway. What he's done is revealed who he is. And if a person does that, kick them to the fucking curb, because you don't want that in your life. But Jonathan, I love him. I'm so in love with him. I'm not saying you say that, but I hear this all the time. But I'm madly in love with him. Ladies, oftentimes it's not real love you're experiencing. What you're experiencing is what you need to learn from these two books, the book Attached and the book Getting the Love You Want by Harville Hendricks and Helen Hunt. Why is this happening? Okay. A, you're either reliving a pattern from your childhood that relates to one or both of your parents. That's the imago. That's taught in the book Getting the Love You Want. Or what you're experiencing is love attachment style. He's an avoidant personality. You're an anxious personality. So you're attached to that. You're just reliving that because you're not experiencing this. Because when you're experiencing self-love, you won't be lamenting over a fucking asshole. Dump a guy who's treating you like shit. Now, I'm making the assumption he's treating you like shit, but the way you identified it in the question, lady, everybody else knows it. In fact, if you are giving, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. I oftentimes ask all my clients when they have a problem with a guy, if this was your daughter, what advice would you give her? And it blows me away. 99.99999% of the time, every woman says, I would dump the guy. Well, then why would you tell your daughter to dump someone that you're not willing to dump yourself? Dump bad behavior, but show up like I talked about. And if you're choosing men like this, that means you got to go back to the drawing board and ask yourself, why am I choosing that? That's why I want you to read these two books, okay? Answer someone else's question other than KK's. Okay, I will. All right, Amy writes, do men sometimes say they don't want a commitment, but they really do? The guy I'm dating, actions feel like genuine and I'm confused. Okay. A lot of men do want a fully committed relationship. Let's differentiate. Do they want commitment or do they want a fully committed relationship? A lot of men want a fully committed relationship. The problem with most people at midlife is they don't know what fully committed looks like because they're no longer on the hunt for a spouse. When we're in our 20s and 30s, when we're on the hunt for a wife and a mother of our children, it's a whole different way of choosing a mate. So that's why at midlife, it's much more complicated. It's not like the movie Brady Bunch where, Mike Brady was a widower and we don't know what happened with Carol Brady, but they just magically had this family appear, but they didn't have alimony and child support and visitation rights and family court and ex-spouses to deal with and multiple children and all this stuff. They made it easy. The problem is nobody knows what commitment looks like at midlife. This is why I highly recommend reading this book, 8 Dates, and then I recommend reading this book, Mating in Captivity by Esther Perel. Oh my God, this is brilliant. If you really want to help solidify your relationship, start reading these books with your partner. Start reading these books with the guy you're with. And if the penis gets to go in the vagina, you have every right to ask. And if he's not willing to do it, why the fuck do you want to be with him? It's my invitation for you anyway. All right. Nadine, I'm sorry, Nadine, I didn't see your question. Post it again, and I promise if you post it again, I'll try to find, because these questions go by quickly. Okay. Lynn writes, can intervention and shyness from a guy be a maker of lack of interest from a guy? Intervention and shyness. I don't understand the intervention. Can shyness be a matter of lack of interest of a guy? Some people are naturally shy and they need more from the other person to help bring out that. I don't understand the intervention part. But yes, that can appear. A lot of shy people are afraid because they're hurting on the inside. What's most happening is most shy people in some way. Remember I said the number one emotional health issue is I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, I'm not likable. Shyness is because they haven't worked on healing themselves. So I'm a big proponent of working on the stuff that caused the pain. That's why reading this book helps you understand where that pain comes from. And when you understand where the pain comes from, you can heal the pain. Is this sinking in? Okay, Nadine, hopefully I can find your question. All right. Hope that helped, by the way. All right. How can I check if my boyfriend wants to be seriously committed when he sucks at communication? I feel like he's always got one foot out the door. Have you asked him? Okay, so here's the thing. I want everybody to do the following. I want you to write on a sheet of paper, what does commitment look like for you? What does it look like for you? And then if the guy gets to have sex with you on a regular basis, you get to ask him, what does commitment look like for you? And then compare notes. Now, if he sucks at communication, what it is, you know what? Here's the thing. Happy couples don't suck at communication. Only unhappy couples suck at communication. And it's usually because they're misaligned. But Jonathan, I love him, but I love him so much. Ladies, healthy relationships aren't about love. Healthy relationships are about compatibility, about blending lifestyles, and then ultimately emotional maturity. Why do you think the divorce rate is 50% for the first go around and 60, 70, and 80% the second, third, and fourth go around? Because you've got a lot of emotionally immature people out there running around with their heads cut off like chickens. This is why I'm such a big proponent of doing the work yourself, because it doesn't matter whether or not you're in relationship with someone else, because the most important relationship you'll ever have is the relationship with yourself. And once you have an awesome relationship with yourself, you won't be attracting these kind of people in your life. And if you do, you dismiss them really quickly. Boom, 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 boom. It's like bam, bam, bam. You just like you're Teflon to those people when you do the work. That's my invitation. All right. Question. What about long distance relationship in two different countries? Is it worth a relationship or is it better to keep it a friendship? You know, I'm sorry. I got to crack up on these. And I'm so sorry, LL. I don't mean to. I'm laughing, but I want to tell you why. Because if I had a nickel for every time I've heard something along the lines of what you just shared with me, I would live at the beach with an ocean view and drive a sports car. Oh, wait. I live at the beach, I have an ocean view, and I drive a sports car. My midlife crisis sports car, it's a convertible. Actually, it's a 4 Series Beamer. Anyway, my point in sharing this with you is long distance relationships are inherently just a telephone virtual relationship. Most of the time, people are spending hours and hours and hours and hours and hours using their little smartphones to communicate with one another. And they don't have a real plan of how to take the long distance to being together. So number one, their biggest problem is they don't have a plan. Number two, it takes roughly about 100 hours of face-to-face time spread out over roughly about a 6-week to 12-week period of time just to get to layer number one of really getting to know another human being. There's this fantasy that so many of you have bought into. You're buying into pen pal relationships. I'm laughing because most long distance relationships are just a virtual relationship, which is no different than a pen pal relationship. So effectively, you are in a friendship. Because if you're not doing social activities, hobbies, mutual interests, spending time with family and friends, traveling together, teamwork, both in your personal and your professional life, and fucking on a regular basis, you're not going to develop the roots to trust that the relationship needs. That's why I'm not a big proponent of long distance unless you have a plan. And when you have two countries, I mean, my question is, LL, have you even met this person yet? That's my question to you. All right. All right, let's see what other questions you have. Taylor says, do you believe friends can be more than friends? Yes, friends can be more than friends. Friends with benefits. That's certainly within the realm of friends can be more than friends. Did you ever go through a Land Rover phase? I did have a Toyota Land Cruiser at one time, but I'm not a Land Rover person anymore. All right. Yes, accept his calls and change your tone of voice and accent. I don't know what that's to. Long distance feels like turning the light on and off in the relationship. That's a great analogy. Okay, do we have any questions? All right. Real Candid with Kathy says, so many are asking, how can I make or do something? Hello, you can't make anybody do anything, or why would you want to? Oh my God, Real Candid, Kathy, yes, yes, yes. All of you are coming to me. That's why, how can I make my guy do this? How can I make my do that? How about, why do I accept bad behavior? Ask yourself that question. Why did I choose a relationship that's long distance? Ask yourself that question. Ask yourself why. Ask yourself, why are you doing the things you do? That's a better question to ask. Why did I do this, Jonathan? Okay, thank you, Kathy. I appreciate that. Lisa Davis, I missed your question. Post it again so I can get your question, but I did not see it. Let me just scroll here again. So do me a favor, Lisa Davis, post your question. Oh, here's one from Yvonne. I didn't see this. How important is it to men for a woman to be financially stable? My boyfriend has a career and makes good money. I work, but I'm not financially stable. We're both in our 50s. Okay, so let's differentiate what financial stability is. Now, I'm going to assume if you can't pay your bills, that means you're not financially stable. That's not a really good place to be in life, just in general, because if he's not in your life, how are you going to pay your bills? Okay, I'm just you have to be able to. That is important if it on yourself, because financial stability simply means I can take care of myself. Now, if your partner can take care of themselves, but you have to look at their lifestyle. Do they have alimony? Do they have child support? Do they have other responsibilities? And how much leftover money is available for the resources in a relationship? Do you know money? Okay, 50% of divorces cite money as the problem. And the real issue is humans have their own value around money. Human beings all have their own unique relationship and value around money. So you could have two people that make the same amount of money, but they value money differently, and there's going to be friction in relationship. You could have a person that makes a lot of money and the other person doesn't, but they're going to act in control of the relationship, because people with the money usually go into a kind of a mentality of I control the relationship because I'm the one paying for things. So there's oftentimes what's most important, by the way, in the book, 8 Dates, there's a chapter. Chapter 4 is called Sex and Money. It's all about how to have the money conversations. I highly recommend having money conversations early, because you don't want to end up in divorce all centered around because you didn't talk about money early on. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating? I hope so. All right. Thank you for your question, Yvonne. Now, Lisa, I know you had a question, and I can't find it. Oh, there we go. All right. Question, does a woman have to give up some independence to move a commitment forward? My relationship is stuck. Is this why? What's healthy independence to give up? All right. That's kind of a loaded question. And what I mean by loaded question is not enough details for me. So people who are overly independent, now, I'm not suggesting you are overly independent, but people who are overly independent aren't attractive people to date. People who are, because human beings want to feel needed to some degree. Men and women want to feel needed. So if a guy is constantly, I'm using a guy, if he's constantly busy, he's working, he's got his whole life, and he's got only a small bit of room for you, that sucks, right? So I want you to think of it in inverse. If you've got a full life, you've got your work, you've got your kids, you've got your exercise, and you've only got a small room for a guy, it's going to suck for him. So ultimately, what's going to improve your relationship, Lisa? It's using these. Your lips, your mouth. Start talking to one another. Ladies, start having real dialogue with men. Stop praying for magic fairy dust to come through and it'll just change everything. Because if I wait for magic fairy dust 5-10 years down the road, somehow something will magically change. The biggest problem in a relationship is people aren't talking to one another about how they feel. This is why the woman who said we've been for 4 months, the guy I've been dating is reading the books. This is a couple that's having real conversations. My God, stop being afraid to talk. Use your words. What do we tell little kids? Use your words. Ladies, I'm sorry, I'm yelling like you're a little child because I'm trying to tell you, use your words. Speak up and talk to him about it. And if he dismisses you, then maybe he's not the right guy for you. Because if a person dismisses you over and over and over again, then you just may not be aligned together on who you are and what you want. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating? Thank you for your question, Lisa. I appreciate that. Whew, I'm on a roll tonight. I'm 46, pretty and single. Now I'm almost desperate to date any guy who looks my way. How do I hold up my standards instead of settling? You see, I'm laughing because I can relate. Well, not at the age. I'm a little bit older. So it can feel a little desperate. What's most important is how do I hold up my standards? First, by knowing what your standards are. See, the problem with standards is a lot of times women don't have standards, they have expectations. So let me tell you my standard. I'm just going to tell you my standard in relationship. I'm looking for a relationship where we spend 3 or 4 days and nights a week together, doing shared activities, hobbies, mutual interests, spending time with family and friends, traveling together, teamwork, both in our personal and professional life, sexual intimacy, doing workshops together to build our emotional maturity. I'm seeking an emotionally mature person. So what do? I use the techniques I teach in my coaching practice on how to vet for emotional maturity, because when you get the emotional maturity piece out of the way, you're setting yourself up for a juicy, delicious relationship within your standard, and that's a heart. So how do you get there? By vetting for emotional maturity first. That's my invitation for you. All right. Sandy writes, when my boyfriend broke up with me, he left me hanging for 3 weeks. My mother said, don't call him, but I did. Asked, what is going on with us? You were the first time I heard I did the right thing. All right. So many of you have been told, lean back when he doesn't call you. Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. You know what you do? If someone hasn't called you in a couple days, will you follow? First off, let's determine, because let me backtrack for a second before I throw guys totally under the bus. I'm going to throw some of you ladies under the bus. I don't know how many times I get this message, Jonathan, it's been 4 days and I haven't heard from my boyfriend. I go, have you reached out to him? Well, no. I go, when was your last communication? Well, we said we were going to do blank, blank, blank. Ladies, first off, you can reach out to a guy. It's not always men reaching out to you. That's why this stupid fucking book, The Rules, and that whole feminine energy leaning back bullshit is driving you fucking nuts, because a relationship is a 2-lane street. Both people traveling, putting in effort. Effort is mutual. He takes you out on a date, you take him out on a date. He takes you to the movies, you buy the snacks. He does this for you, you do that for him. If you want to be treated like a queen, then you better start treating him like a king. And I stole that from a meme I just read. And my point being is, you can call him. Now, if you sent a text message or the last communication was you, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days goes by, abso-fucking-lutely call him. Don't do this feminine leaning back bullshit thinking that he will just magically appear. Call him out on his shit. If you guys are having regular sex together, see, here's the problem with a lot of you. You're not actually dating with any intentionality. And what I mean by intentionality is you're not exploring a relationship together. And to explore a relationship together takes consciousness. And what does that consciousness? It's first reading like this book and then reading this book after you've read my book. By the way, there's a link to all the books below. Why am I screaming? Because you guys, ladies, if you don't know how a relationship works, how is the guy ever going to figure that out? If you want to figure out your standards, then find out how a relationship works. But Jonathan, if we love each other, it will just magically work out. Magic fairy dust doesn't make a relationship work. Intentionality is what makes a relationship work. All right. Oh, I missed that one. Where is that? Let me scroll here. Bear with me, everyone. I saw a question. Ah, well, oh, here we go. Carl writes, or Carrie writes, why do people in midlife choose to get married? I'm undecided. I definitely want a life partner, would like to live together, but wondering if marriage is important. What's your opinion? You know what, Carrie? I want to read you something. And this is everyone. This is my Match.com profile that I'm about to share. Okay. And let me go to my profile. And here, how do I open my profile? All right. I'm going to read to you, everybody. The first line of my profile says, let me start with the following. I'd like to get remarried. I'm telling you, or at least live together. I'm seeking a woman who feels the same. For me, it isn't about growing old with someone. I want to grow in life and in love with a special woman. Also, I said, I promise my next partner emotional maturity, lots of great sex, chocolate, massages, flirty text messages, poetry, travel, and tacos on Tuesday. So here's the thing. I'm a big proponent of marriage. And why? Because marriage says, I've got your back. Marriage says, you can count on me. Marriage says, I'm going to be there for you when times are tough. Marriage says, I'm all in. Marriage says, we're a team. Marriage says, through thick and thin, I'm going to be there for you even when times are tough. Because I think what's missing today in so much is the will to take care of another human being. I do believe this is the fundamental problem in most dating, mating, and relating challenges today is a lack of commitment, a lack of, I've got your back. I want to be there with you through thick or thin. But most important, I want to take care of you during tough times. See, we are so fucking spoiled here in the United States. We live in a victim consciousness mentality that's instant gratification, that all you have to do is swipe, and and then we have this paradox of choice. I mean, it's such a clusterfuck out there. Anyone who says dating isn't sucks, who says dating doesn't suck, is a full of shit. It is a mess out there. It's a mess for a variety of different reasons. How do you find the joy in the mess? There's only one solution to that. Bump, bump, bump. Love yourself. As Esther Perel says, the most important, the quality of your life is going to be predicated on the quality of your relationships, and the relationship with yourself is the most important relationship. So going back to the marriage questions, I'm a big proponent of it because I think when people make an investment in each other, they have the greatest chance for happiness. And when people are dating passively, unintentionally, casually, pen pals, long distance, friends with benefits, they're just temporary. And usually what happens is they go from one temporary to the next, and that wears on our heart. And I'm here to say, let's invest in shoring up our own self-love and then finding partners who are our watermark, who can meet us in that same place, who's aligned to who we are and what we want, and traveling on the street at the same speed. Whew. Wow, that hour went by quick. I know there's a lot more questions. I want to thank everyone who did post a question. I'm sorry I couldn't get to all of you. Guy Belize says, preach, Jonathan. I'm French. Thank you so much. Christine writes, you crack me up. Thank you. I'm here to entertain. Let's see. Here, Gigi writes, distance is insane. I kind of agree. EC writes, thank you for answering my question. Divorced twice, engaged 10 times. I guess I need to write a book by Esther Perel. Highly recommend that. I don't know what FTS stands for, but whatever it is, cool. All right, I think this is a good time to wrap up. Listen, everyone, From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you all for your love and support. Many of you write me these kind, loving messages. I'm so grateful from the bottom of my heart, supporting the work I do. I know I'm unusual the way I deliver this content. I'm delivering it straight from my gut and my heart, okay? I call myself a heart protector because my coaching is heart-centered radical honesty. It's direct, a little tough love, and a lot of heart. And occasionally I do use expletives to enhance a sentence. And I appreciate that many of you understand why I do what I do. I think this is a great place to wrap up for today. So those who know me know, I wrap up all my videos as I always do. First off, giving myself a big, gigantic Jonathan Bear hug of self-love. I'm going to reach into the camera and give you a hug of love if that's okay. I'm going to ask you to turn to someone or a pet or a teddy bear or a pillow and give it or them a hug of love, because hugs are a great source of love. And let's face it, we could all use more love in our lives. I want to thank you so much and wishing you a wonderful day. Bye-bye now.